Hello everyone, my name is Luke Stevens. Today we're gonna talk about another scandal because we live in the 21st century, 2022, in case you missed it. And because we live in such a fantastic time, there has to be a scandal about absolutely everything that exists, including games, which pretty much everybody agrees look fantastic, look very exciting and interesting, such as Elden Ring. So I know what you're thinking. What possibly could be the scandal that we're discussing today? Well, it's a scandal that started on the platform where all scandals start, Twitter. Basically, the accusation as made here by a Twitter user, the AP99, it's that, quote, "In today's economy, I don't think Elden Ring seems like a big enough improvement over past games to warrant $60, especially when other devs are clearly putting in more effort. I like FromSoft, but they are being lazy." And then they show a bunch of comparisons of recycled animations between Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, and the generational leap between Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, which released a full year after Dark Souls 3, showing that in the 5 years or so since Dark Souls 3 and Horizon Zero Dawn's release, one of them has made huge strides graphically. The other one is using recycled materials and looks pretty bland as far as graphics are concerned. So the big question is whether or not this comparison is fair, for one, whether or not the criticism is valid, and thirdly, and perhaps the most important question, whether or not it even matters at all. Does it matter if Elden Ring's graphics are worse than they could be in the modern day? Does it matter if From Software is cutting corners as far as animation work is concerned? Does any of this matter? What does life matter? Why are we here? What are we doing? This video just took a dark turn. But real quick before we get into it, I want to let you know I'm giving away 2 copies of Elden Ring on Steam, just as a thank you for being a subscriber and an active member of this community. I'm not doing any crazy thing like follow my Twitter and 15 other social media platforms and send me pictures of your back hair. I'm not doing anything like that. All you have to do to enter is join our Discord, so I have a list of everybody who entered. Links in the description box below. Just join the Discord. You'll enter, you can win a free copy of Elden Ring. Like, why wouldn't you do that? It's easy, and it's just my way of saying thank you for being awesome and supporting me. So yeah. And of course, thank you to the sponsor of this video, without whom we couldn't do giveaways, we couldn't do this for a living, we couldn't make videos at all. HelloFresh. HelloFresh is the beloved meal subscription service that offers fresh, easy to prepare, and delicious food straight to your door. They offer 50 menu and market items to choose from every single week, including vegetarian, calorie smart, and gourmet options, providing plenty of variety for whatever you may want to eat. Even at full price, a HelloFresh subscription is over 30% cheaper than grocery stores. Not to mention, it saves you a ton of time, allowing you to skip out on those trips. And I really appreciate this because, having had my first child very recently, I really appreciate every second of the day that I can save and put towards something else. And being able to bypass the supermarket and shopping, which I personally loathe, is a wonderful thing. HelloFresh really does make my day-to-day significantly easier. And as if it couldn't get any better, the meals are delicious to boot. Use my link or go to HelloFresh.com and use promo code POG-Luke16 for up to 16 meals free and 3 surprise gifts across 6 HelloFresh boxes, all with free shipping. These gifts include everything from appetizers to free desserts and even free premium recipes. Again, check them out at the link in the description box below or in the pinned comment. Okay, so how do we even begin to broach this discussion? Well, for me, I think we have to break down 2 core questions, and that is whether or not there's an actual issue that's even being addressed here. So first and foremost, are the animations recycled, and does it appear that From Software has cut corners? So as seen in this comparison video that's been all over the internet at this point, links in the description box below if you want to see it yourself, there are a lot of recycled animations in Elden Ring. This isn't even controversial. It's clear. Many of the movesets, many of the attack animations, even some of the beast animations are directly copy and pasted from Dark Souls 3, a game that released, God, I'm old, 6 years ago, which is unbelievable to me that it's been that long, but 6 years ago in like early 2016. Now, to get this out of the way up front, obviously most studios recycle animations. This is not a scandalous thing as far as I'm concerned. So this accusation that Elden Ring recycles all these animations and therefore From Software is lazy, I think is a little ridiculous, because every studio does this, because it's frankly ridiculous to suggest that they should completely start from scratch every single time they need to do animations for anything. It's ridiculous to say as much. It just makes sense. If you are dealing with a character who's walking, why would you need to rework all of the animations if you don't have to? Now, in the case of Elden Ring, it's pretty clear this game is effectively Dark Souls with an open world. That's what it's largely been sold as, with, of course, some outside input by the author of Game of Thrones. But for the most part, it's Dark Souls in an open world, and that's effectively what it is, and people are okay with that, and they're going into it with that expectation. So to have Dark Souls animations doesn't seem too scandalous to me. Now, most people are comparing the game directly to Horizon Forbidden West, which as a comparison is a little interesting to me, because on the one hand, the games seem very, very different. At their most bare bones level, yes, they're both open world games at this point. Yes, they are cross-generational, and they have at least 5-year period between their releases to compare. So in Forbidden West, we can see huge improvements graphically made, even on the base platform, where it's still going to be running on the same hardware it ran on originally back in 2017. It's still very, very impressive what they've been able to pull off here and all of the improvements they've made. But if we look at Elden Ring, it's much less impressive what they've been able to pull off. In many ways, the game even looks like a step backward compared to a game like Sekiro, which had some major improvements made over Dark Souls 3. So for the base question of whether or not this comparison is fair, I think it's interesting to draw a comparison between these two, but I think fundamentally they're different games. Horizon has been a franchise that's about pushing the technical boundary. It has shortcomings as far as gameplay is concerned. Of course, the RPG mechanics in the original game were laughably lackluster. But graphically, it was very, very impressive. Everything they were able to pull off in terms of draw distance, depth, and density of foliage. Very, very impressive what they were able to pull off there. Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Demon Souls, Sekiro, all of these games have never been about the graphics. They've always been about the gameplay, first and foremost. And I get it. That's kind of like an easy get out of jail free card to play, to just be like, well, we don't need great graphics in our game because it's, it's never been the purpose. We're about the gameplay, and so we can set aside the graphical fidelity, and criticizing it for a lackluster graphical performance is not valid because that's not our purpose or our goal. I get that. I understand that, and I can see how it seems like a cop-out. But in this case, it actually is, in my mind, a fair defense, because it hasn't been the priority. But that's a very different defense against the accusation that the graphics are lacking compared to other contemporary titles releasing around this time than what some Dark Souls sycophants are saying, which is that Dark Souls games, and games like them by FromSoft, can't push the technical boundary graphically because they're pushing the technical boundary as far as the enemy animation sets are concerned, the enemy AI, the attack AI, and everything of that sort. In other words, they're saying that because Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and now Elden Ring all focus on the enemies, they have large animation sets for all of the different attacks. That has to be loaded into memory, and as a result, they can't push the boundary for graphics in the same way that something like Horizon can do with more simplified enemy types. That's really dumb as a defense. The reason it's dumb is because all you have to do is look at footage of Horizon Forbidden West's combat for 30 seconds, and you'll see that what they're doing on screen there is just as impressive, if not more complex, than what Elden Ring is doing with their enemy types that you'll be fighting in that game. Getting like this gigantic mammoth to fight you on a beach is not very easy, especially with hyper destructible environments. It's very impressive that they're able to do this so fluidly. And so at the outset, I would just dismiss that argument full stop. It's just stupid. But the easier example to point to would of course be Bluepoint's remake of Demon Souls. They built this game up from the ground up completely new to run on the PlayStation 5, and it is to this day probably one of, if not the most graphically impressive games to currently exist on consoles. Demon Souls is phenomenal on consoles, and Hidetaka Miyazaki, the leader of From Software, the brain behind the operation, said as much. You see, Miyazaki did an interview with Edge magazine, as reported here by PC Gamer, where he described how intimidated and pressured the team for the graphics division over at From Software felt after playing through Demon Souls, the remake by Bluepoint Games. He said, quote, "I'm pretty sure our graphics creation staff felt that pressure more than everyone else. Graphical fidelity is not something we put as the top priority. What we ask for on the graphics side depends on the systems and the requirements of the game itself, and it takes less priority compared to the other elements of development. So this is always an area where I feel a little bit apologetic towards my graphics team because I know they work extremely hard." And that's kind of the point of the comparison between all of these games. The priority for the Demon Souls remake was graphical fidelity, get something that looks fantastic and plays pretty well on the next-gen consoles to launch along with the PS5. They accomplished that and were very, very successful with it, which is why Demon Souls is so heavily lauded even to this day. Highly recommend it, by the way. But FromSoft has never made graphics the priority in their development. It's just not been the purpose. If they can make a fantastic game that stands on its own for its gameplay systems, for the ambiance, for the world design, the settings, everything else, the graphics can come later in terms of priority, and that's okay. And obviously, the fact that you're watching this video now, the fact that you're an impassioned fan, potentially, of these games, in spite of the lack of graphical cutting-edgedness, shows that approach is just fine. It doesn't matter if the game is the most groundbreaking visually or graphically. The game can still be phenomenal. And I think this is where I land with this. For one, I find the whole idea that this is a scandal really stupid because it's just not. If you are going to skip over a game like Elden Ring because you think it's not graphically impressive enough, then that's your loss. You're missing out on a game that most people expect to be one of the best titles releasing this year simply because you don't think it's got enough graphical bells and whistles. And if that's how you judge the value of a game, I honestly do feel bad for you because you're going to miss out on so many phenomenal games just because they don't look flashy. And I think it's also really important to question the true motivations of some of these people when they bring up these critiques of a game like Elden Ring, because a lot of the time they're not actually making a good faith argument for improvements that should be made to the game, to the industry, to the approach of these developers. They're just trying to send out piss takes to get clout on Twitter, quick likes and retweets by PS5 fanboys who want to talk about how much better their exclusives are than the cross-platform games. And it's all just bad faith. It's all stupid infighting console war bullshit. And I just don't want to engage in it. Like, if you see somebody on Twitter that's dealing in this garbage, like, don't follow them. Don't like their stuff. Don't retweet it. Don't even quote tweet it saying how stupid it is, because it's just stupid. And I know what you're thinking. Well, if you really think that, Luke, why did you make a video on this? Effectively giving them the clout that they want by giving the scandal the credibility that it currently is garnering in this video. And to that, I would say, touche. No, but seriously, the reason that I bring this up is because I've seen this discussed so many times, at this point for years, but it's really taken an uptick recently with the release of now current gen consoles, because the console wars have kind of been reignited as a result of all of it. It's brought up with Elden Ring. It's been brought up with The Last of Us discussion with The Last of Us Part 2, saying that games aren't all about graphical fidelity, and then we get the flip side of that. It's all just really stupid, and I felt like I should finally address it and call it out, because criticizing a game for the graphics, I think, is dumb. I think you can point out graphical shortcomings if it's contained within the context of broken promises, like what we see a lot with sort of over promise, under deliver titles, where they show trailers that look fantastic and then we get the actual game and there's huge cuts that have been made and things are stripped out and looks terrible in comparison. I think that's fair to criticize things graphically in. And I think if a game is sold on immersion or really pushing the boundaries, I think you should be able to bring up graphical issues. And I think if you're discussing something like Elden Ring and you say, listen, this game is not a graphical powerhouse compared to other games releasing this year, that is objectively fair and objectively true. But it doesn't mean the game is bad. And that's kind of the overarching point of this. This tweet that we started off looking at made the argument that in today's economy, Elden Ring didn't provide a big enough improvement to spend $60. And as a result, From Software was being lazy and it was stupid and financially irresponsible to buy the game because it wasn't a big enough improvement. And that is just so myopic. It's so short-sighted. It's so dumb to respond to it in a rationed and intelligent manner. Strains every fiber of my being. But what's really funny is that most likely those same people that are heavily criticizing Elden Ring for being graphically underwhelming and for not being impressive in comparison to all of these Sony exclusive games, my guess would be they're still going to buy it. They're still going to play it. They're just doing this for clout on Twitter and for hyping up the PS5 and these other things. Like, we can agree games are great. Gaming is great. Forbidden West is going to be phenomenal. Elden Ring, probably going to be phenomenal. All of these games are going to be great. And that's okay. They can all be great at the same time. And we can all play phenomenal games on our respective systems or different ecosystems. It doesn't matter. We're gamers. Like, let's just be gamers together and stop with this stupid infighting. Not everything has to be this tribalistic, hoorah, rah, go PS5, hoorah, rah, go Xbox, or PC Master Race. We're gamers. Like, let's just take a minute, calm down, and be gamers and appreciate where we are in the industry, because it's phenomenal where we are. We are at the cutting edge of technology. We are about to get some phenomenal games, and we should be excited about that. And we don't need to get into the mired gobbledygook of all this crap dealing with console wars and debates on whether or not graphically these games have improved enough to be as good as other games, which are also graphically really impressive. It's just dumb. If the game looks good, buy the game. Or join our Discord to enter for a chance to win it for free. You like how I did that? But yeah, that's generally my thoughts on the whole scandal as it is right now. I don't really think it's a scandal. And even if it were a scandal, it would be a really stupid scandal. So that's where we are. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a wonderful supporter of this channel, for liking these videos, for subscribing to the channel, for watching over on Twitch where we are right now with all these lovely people. Thank you for being supportive. I really do appreciate it. And how I'm saying thank you is by giving away those copies of Elden Ring. And we're going to be giving away more copies of games throughout the first quarter of this year over on Discord. So make sure to join us to enter to win those. Also, buckle up, because we have the full critique of Uncharted 4 coming out very soon. It'll be up for patrons early. And soon after that, we will also have the full critique of The Lost Legacy coming out as well. And we'll be putting out the full Uncharted series critique just in time for the remastered collection that's coming out late January. So make sure to subscribe, ring the bell to get notified of when all of that goes live. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. Everybody on Twitch, you guys are wonderful. I love you all very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Hugs and kisses. Bye.